Dahlias in winter. This is definitely a topic of conversation. Now, first up, let's talk about the tubers that you've already got before we talk about any new varieties. So, you will have had to have made your decision. Perhaps you've made it already, perhaps you are still doing it, whether you are going to lift your Dahlia tubers out the ground or whether you're going to leave them. So the benefit of lifting them is that you will store them safely away so that they won't rot and you won't lose them over the winter. However, for lots of people, it's too much effort. They can't be bothered, and lots of Dahlia tubers are absolutely fine being left in the ground. The risk is if we have a really wet, really cold winter, the tubers can get soggy and they just turn to mush and rot away. By adding a layer of mulch, so some well-rotted horse manure, wood chips, something like that, a nice thick layer on the top, then it's that gets frozen, and hopefully that will protect the underneath from getting frozen, and hopefully the tubers will be okay. I have got dahlias that have come back year after year because I always forget to dig them up, and some of them are actually really annoying because I don't even like the colours. But in some gardens, they come back with no problems. Other people do lose them. Just remember, we've all got different types of soil, particularly heavy clay soils. They probably wouldn't do well over the winter. If you are lifting them, like I am, then the most important thing is that you dry them before you store them. So what I do is I lifted them, gave them a rinse off, stored them upside down in a bucket, just so that any water could drain out of the stems, because what you'll notice with a dahlia stem is they are hollow and they just hold loads of water. So you want to make sure they are really nice and dry. And then I'm going to put mine in a cardboard box filled with sawdust, wood shavings, just from my local pet shop. I pay about £5 for a really big bag. And then that just goes in my garage, which is really cold. But with all the snuggly sawdust, the frost doesn't get them and they are absolutely fine. And then come about February time, I go through the box, have a really good think about what I want to divide. Already over kind of Christmas and New Year, I'll be planning my dahlias for next year. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's just, a really good thing to do early next year to just really think about what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of. You could have that kind of discussion with yourself now, but I just don't have the headspace to even be thinking about dahlias this side of Christmas. So for me, I'm just going to store them away and worry about that early next year. Now we are going to come on to dahlias for next year. What you will notice is that as we head towards Christmas, lots of the suppliers who sell dahlias will have their pre-orders available now. It's really common practice in the horticultural industry that people pre-order plants. So you secure the varieties that you love now, you pay for them now, and they're delivered in the spring. If you're a new gardener, it might seem quite strange, but it's very, very normal in this industry. Dutch Grown do it, Farmer Gracie do it, J Parker's do it. What you will notice, and this is really interesting, is that Farmer Gracie, for example, they tend to ship stuff out at any old time, whereas Dutch Grown are the polar opposite. So as you guys might know, I have done various bits of work for Dutch Grown over the last year, and I've learned a lot about their business and a lot about selling plants and how they do it differently to Farmer Gracie. So Dutch Grown believe that they sell the most top quality plants, but they do not dispatch until they're ready to be planted, and they have huge chiller coolers in their big giant warehouse, and they keep the tubers and they keep their bulbs and they keep their bare roots and they keep everything in chillers at the prime temperature so that you're then being shipped the best quality plant. Some of you might have experienced disappointing deliveries from Farmer Gracie, often when bare roots perhaps are sent not at the best time, and often the quality is really poor. I know that I have heard a lot of people have had issues with that, so it's definitely worth thinking about that. And even there are lots of small dahlia sellers and dahlia growers who pre-order the cuttings. They haven't even taken the cuttings yet, but you can still order them now because I guess they kind of have an idea of how many they're going to be able to sell. So it's really, really common practice that people secure the varieties they want well in advance, just like the tulips. So some people will order their tulips for 2026 when the tulips finish flowering in 2025. So they'll flower, they'll fall in love with the varieties, and they'll already order next year's ones that far in advance. It's just how it goes. So yes, you might want to think, maybe even as a Christmas gift, if anyone's looking for things to get you, that some dahlia tubers or something, a voucher for somewhere online might be a good idea. I will list for you some of the dahlia suppliers. I'm always really honest with the suppliers that I share and my experience of them. So I have had some really shocking tubers from lots of different places. I just think it's the nature of the beast. I don't believe a seller intentionally sells you tubers that have got gall. I think it's just a bit unlucky. I'm going to be trying a few different suppliers this year. I'll share all of the links with you, but it's a really, really exciting time, kind of in the winter. It's another winter job just to be planning and really thinking about colours that you might like. If you've never grown them before, they can be grown in pots, they can go in the border. It's super exciting, but definitely something to think about this month. So we will chat a lot more about growing dahlias next month, but I just wanted to let you know that it's definitely something to start thinking about this side of Christmas, because it is a perfect kind of gift opportunity, and also just a nice thing to do over the festive period if you've got a bit of downtime and you can do a bit of planning, do a bit of browsing. What I do always recommend to people, if you've never grown them before, is if you've got the space to go for 5 varieties, because that will give you a really good mix of colours for when you are cutting flowers. So with dahlias, the more you cut them, the more flowers the plant produces. They love a sunny spot, they're happy in containers, happy in the border, and I'm going to make sure that I really start them off a bit earlier this year, because I'm fed up every year of waiting so long for them. So I'm going to try this year to do things a little bit differently, start them a bit earlier, and hope that I get earlier flowers. I'm not going to grow as many dahlias this year because my main dahlia border is now the hot border, but I'm going to be really creative with how I grow them in containers. So I'm hoping for an amazing display.